Hello, my crafty friends. Welcome to Stamp with Teah. I am Teah Woodward, an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. I am located in Vancouver, Washington, in the United States, and I am just thrilled to be here with you today. This is a second recording of day 4 of a 4-day catalog launch party. It's a re-recording because it was brought to my attention that there was a technical difficulty, and for some reason the sound in the video is not in sync with the video that I have had on on YouTube for a few days now. So I am re-recording it so that it makes more sense. So apologies to anybody that has had an issue with that previous recording. I am going to just jump right in. Now, this probably will not match exactly as, I will have lost my rhythm because that last day was a few days ago. So, it was actually a week ago. So, let me give you just a quickie highlight. Over the course of the 4 days, I introduced 4 different make and take cards, and those make and take cards will be a thank you gift with a purchase of $50 or more at my online store. Here is the host code for that, and I will repost that host code in the description of this video. So if this gets pushed out of the way, and it usually does end up getting pushed out of the way, I will repost that. So here is an overview of the first 3 cards. I just realized I don't have the sound muted on my computer, so I've done that now. My apologies. So every day I've demonstrated 2 cards, and one of those 2 cards is a make and take that is part of my thank you gift to you with a purchase of $50 or more. So here is the card that I introduced on day 1. This is from the Hello Harvest bundle. Here is card number 2. This is from the Lights Aglow bundle. Here is card number 3. This is from Gingham Cottage. And then this is the one that one of the 2 that I'll be demonstrating today, and this is from Perched in a Tree. This is actually a mixture of Perched in a Tree and Ringed with Love designer series paper that's in the Sale A Bration flyer. So let me set these aside and get right to business. I'm going to start with a card base that is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And I'm just going to grab my bone folder and give that a nice burnish. So each day I have been demonstrating 2 cards, and then I show samples of some other cards. So let me show you. This is Perched in a Tree. It has the branch, it has 4 sentiments, it has the bird, has a couple of different types of grunge background stamping that you can use. And then these are the coordinating dies. I'm not actually using any of the dies today. I have stamped my bird on one of the layering circle dies, or on a piece of paper cut with one of the layering circle dies. Now, as I explained in my previous video, this sentiment is not one of the sentiments that's in this Perched in a Tree. I actually really love this Let Heaven and Nature Sing because I was using the bird, but I didn't properly plan out the layout of my card, and the dimensions of this didn't lay out just right. So anyway, so I ended up pulling my greeting from Go To Greetings, and that's why. And I picked just a note because I'm picturing this being a songbird. So I'm going to set this to one side. Going to Got a few too many pieces going on here. There we are. All right, so I have pre-stamped, just to keep this clipping along a bit, I have pre-stamped my bird using soft suede. And now I'm going to use my blending pens, my Stampin' Blends. I'm using Balmy Blue and Daffodil Delight. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to add a layer of Balmy Blue. I'm using the light first. And then I will go in and I will shade with the dark. And this doesn't need to be exact. I want to be careful of that eye. So I live in, as I mentioned, Vancouver, Washington, and it is quite warm these last couple of days, and I understand it's about to get warmer. All right, I've added that light Balmy Blue from the combo pack. You get a light and a dark. There's a brush tip and a bullet tip. I am now going to go in with the bullet tip from the dark Balmy Blue, and I'm going to add some shading. Not a ton, just a little. And around everywhere that there's kind of a perimeter where it might be getting a little shadowy from rolling away from us, I'm just going to add just a little bit. And I'm going to go back in with the brush tip and just lightly blend that in. Don't need to get too crazy about it. There we go. Now I'm going to pull in my light Daffodil Delight and add that to the underbody. So this last weekend, my husband and I did a quick trip to Utah for my mother-in-law's 90th birthday party. We couldn't leave until Friday and we had to be back on Sunday. So we did a 1,600-mile trip in under 60 hours and with a birthday party in the middle. There we go. There's the dark Daffodil Delight. And then I'm going to just use that lighter pen to blend that in from the edges. It was a wonderful party. She had 40 of her 43 great-grandchildren were present. I lost track of how many grandchildren attended. 5 out of 6 of her kids were able to attend, my husband being one of them. The only one that didn't attend, only didn't attend because he got COVID. So that was sad, sad, sad. I know he was brokenhearted for that. Okay, our bird is colored. I'm going to bring in one of these strips and we're going to stamp the sentiment on here. And I've got a few of these cut in case I don't get it straight. And I've got a feeling that's not, oh, it's close to straight, but not quite straight. Let me flip it over. that's totally off. Ah, let's try this again. Good thing I cut some extras. What's making it difficult is reaching out in front of me with the camera in between me and, nope, I'm getting a little too high. Goodness, good thing I cut 3. I'm gonna have to be happy with whatever this one turns out like. Ah, phew, I am. Yay! All right. Close up my ink so I don't make any mess. And I'm looking for my chamois. There it is. Cleaning off my stamp. I've got fans running in here and I just really don't want the ink to get like air dried onto it. Okay, so now I'm going to grab a pair of snips and I'm going to cut off about a 1/2 inch on each side. And then I'm going to do a little banner cut. My husband had really been worried about us attending this birthday party because of my back injury and it being a long drive. And but I just knew he'd be brokenhearted if we didn't attend it, so I'm really glad that we went. All right, I've now got my components all ready to start adhering together. So I'm going to take this piece of designer series paper and I'm just going to tell you about it really quick. This is from the Sale A Bration designer series paper that's called Ringed in Love. You can get this designer series paper with a $50 purchase, and as I've mentioned before, it is best, in order to see the prints, just to go online and look up the designer series paper. So this one is Ringed in Love, and you can click through the prints and you can see them all. And you'll see it much better than what I'm trying to show you here. Easier to do it on the camera, but this paper is one of these from this grouping. The whole group is just delightful, and it coordinates with several of the stamp sets that are in the mini catalog. I just got adhesive on my finger. There we go. So let's throw some multi-purpose glue down here. I'm going to have to wipe off this finger. I've got a lot of adhesive on this. There we go. That's better. Everything was going to stick to it and I could tell. So here are the dimensions of my paper. I have, let's see, I'm going to double check this because I cut it a little while ago. This is 4 by 5 1/4 is the matte, and the designer series paper, I believe this one is 3 3/4 by 5, but I'll double check that for you in just a moment. So I know I've got it straight. There we go. And yes, I'm at 3 3/4 by 5 on the designer series paper. I'm going to take a piece of, this is called, they're just calling it woven ribbon. It's a natural color and it's really loose, and you can kind of see through it, and I liked that because that meant that you weren't completely hiding that designer series paper behind it. When I'm doing something like this, I like to use Scotch tape to attach it to the back. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm just going to grab couple little pieces, and no, I'm not advertising Scotch tape. It just happens to be what I have on hand. And I am going to estimate my placement is right about here. And get that straight across, although most of it's covered up, but not all of it. Okay. Now I am going to use some dimensionals on the back, because I like to raise my card fronts up off of my card bases. It doesn't mean that they'll have to be, it's just how I like to do it. You do it how you like to do it. And then I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool to remove those backers off of that. I just seem to fuss a bit less if I do it this way. It's summer and it's busy, busy, busy time, isn't it? My husband and I have there we go, a boat race this weekend. Well, it's not a full-on race, it's more of an exhibition. It's the vintage class, so they're not allowed to go full speed. I am going to center this from top to bottom and side to side, just like that. I am then going to use one layer of dimensionals. Where did I set them? Right there. Use one layer of dimensionals on the back of my bird. I'm going to put a couple on the bottom and a couple towards the top. And I want to make sure that I get my bird positioned properly. About like such. Look at how fast this is coming together. Then I'm going to throw a couple dimensionals on the back of my sentiment. Let's see, need to remember something here. I need to move this one over a little bit. There we go. So it's going to be, the sentiment is going to have one layer of dimensionals behind the word just, and two layers of dimensionals off to the side, because there's already one layer of dimensionals behind this bird. So we only need one layer where it's overlapping on the bird, but we need it to be two where it's off of the circle. Okay, we're going to settle for that because I don't want to tear anything. Now I just need to add, and I am going to decorate the inside of this card as well, but that doesn't take but a minute. I'm going to use, so on the very, very first one of these I made, which is 2 cards ago, I used the smaller dots, but they really hide in these branches. So on this last one, I used one small one down by the sentiment and 2 large ones up on the designer series paper, and that's what I'm going to do again. I might not have left myself much space there. There I go. All right, so there is our card front. Now I'm going to move this to one side for just a minute while I decorate the inside. So what I've done is I've cut a 1/2 inch wide strip of the designer series paper, and I'm going to attach it to the liner or the message layer, and then there will be a matte layer that goes behind this. That looks rather thick. It was super thick. You just put some of that excess right in the middle of this. There we go. All right, so then I'm attaching it to the left-hand side. That's just my preference. You put it wherever you want. You could put a piece across the bottom or across the top or down both sides or to the right. And then I'm going to add adhesive to the back of that liner area and center it on the mat. Like such. Give that a nice little squeeze. Gonna add some more adhesive to the back of this and attach it to the inside of our card. It's a quick and simple card. It really goes to show that you don't have to, in order to have a beautiful card, you don't have to spend hours and hours. I like to spend hours and hours, I won't lie. Okay, I've got a little bit of adhesive right there, I feel it. So I'm gonna grab my rubber eraser, and I'm going to lift that extra adhesive right off. It's on this side. Did you know that? Did you know that you could do that with these? It rolls it right off the paper. Keeping everything from sticking to each other. I feel like I've got it all now. Okay, there we go. So there is, oh, but I ended up with some somewhere. So here is our 4th make and take. So let me pull in those others, which they're there. I was gonna say, I think I've covered them up. So we have, here we are. They're the 4 make and takes that I will send you the card, everything to make except no stamped images. So I would send you this circle and you would have to use whatever image you've got that you can put on here. And I would give you the strip cut and you would stamp your own sentiment. I'll send you the cut and scored cardstock, the mat, the designer series paper, the circle, the strip cut, the portions for the inside, and I will send you the ribbon and just enough to make this card, and the gems or the adhesive back dots. So the same thing for all of these. I can send you the die cut items, but I cannot send you any stamped images. And then the other thing I want to mention is the red dots that you see. I got dimensional sticking to me. The red dots that you see here, this is a form of a paint. I cannot send that, but I will send the die cut wreaths, the embossed layers, the gems. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. I would love to answer it for you. Here, the bow that I send you will come pre-tied and come with a mini glue dot attached to the back. So that is that. let me move on to my second demonstration. Clean up my little space here. Switch out my ink colors. Let's see, do I really have adhesive on here? Yes, I do. I can flip that over. And let me get a couple of things out of the way. So this second card, I am calling the Celebrate Everything card. And I'm calling it that because that's what the name of the designer series paper is. So here's the card. It's a little Christmas card. And I'm going to just give you a quickie show of the Celebrate Everything designer series paper that is available in the mini catalog. If you, let's see, if you host a party, or if you have a large enough personal order. Oh, I'm pretty sure I remembered the price, but I want to tell you for sure. Yes. So if you have a personal order of $150 or more, or you have a party and it's $150 more total, then you can buy this 48 pages of designer series paper. And it, again, I'm going to tell you, like I said before, I recommend going on and looking at the paper on the website, stampinup.com, but because you're going to be able to see it so much better. But there's some Christmas papers, there's some Halloween, sorry, I've got these turned the wrong way. There are some generic dots. Here's fireworks. Here we have the rainbow. Here's some autumn leaves. I mean, like, there's pumpkins, and then there's the other side. Flippity-doo-dah. Okay, so some of these you've already seen. But these are nice. They coordinate. Everything coordinates with each other. So something for you to think about. And this is what I am going to show you now, is this card. So this card the stamp set that I've chosen to use for my sentiment is from the Brightest Glow, and it has all these beautiful, beautiful sentiments in it. I have chosen to use All Is Merry and Bright. And then I'm using the circling layer, or the layering circle dies, like I did on the last card, except this one I'm using the scalloped edge as the background, or the matte layer, for my sentiment. So let's get started. As I mentioned in some of my previous videos, all of my cards, I wasn't showing off any fun folds or anything during this catalog launch party. I was literally going as fast as I could just to show you as many of the stamp sets or the bundles that I have on hand. So everything was the same card base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And going to burnish that. This card base is Poppy Parade. I didn't get a good crease there. And then my matte layer on the front is Granny Apple Green. And just look at how bright and festive that is. So then I have the designer series paper that I've just gotten out of order, I think. Nope, I've got it still in order. So let me give you some measurements. This card base, or this, not card base, this matte layer is 3 3/4 by 5. Then I took a piece of the designer series paper, and before I strip cut it, it was 3 3/8 by 4 3/4. So then the 3 3/8 was cut apart into 1 1/8 inch strips. And now I'm keeping these in order so that the picture reads going across. So I'm going to use adhesive. And I'm going to scooch this around about like such. Then I'm going to take the other piece that will sit on this other outside area. And put that in position. And now I can come in and set in my middle. And that allows me to get most of my edges equally spaced. Butterfingers, there we go. Certainly on a day like today, where it's so hot. All right, so there is my card base, or my card front. So I am going to go ahead and put dimensionals on the back of this and raise that up. Oh, what's going on there? I make about 100 and, well, last year was 144 handmade Christmas cards, not including my customer base. And this year I'm actually expecting that number to rise. As my husband and I have become involved in a couple of new groups that we weren't involved in before. I was blessed to have been able to retire in the last couple of weeks, giving me some more time to have some fun. Okay, so there's our card front. I'm going to bring in this layering circle and this layering circle. I'm going to use Granny Apple Green. I've already pre-mounted my All Is Merry and Bright. Let's see. I've got a feeling that's crooked. Let's try that again. Here, let me do this so I can see see my circle. There we go, that should be better. Yay, that's much better. In the evenings, the my ring light creates a different shadow, and it makes it much harder for me to see to line up. On my paper. And here we go. So I've got just a little bit of that Poppy Parade showing from around that sentiment. I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back of this. And I am going to center it over this cut line. And I can do it anywhere I want, but I want it centered over that cut line. Then I am going to bring in my metallic woven ribbon. This is the Parakeet Party, which I thought went really well with the Granny Apple Green. So I'm just going to cut myself a healthy amount, and I am going to tie a double bow. Now, most of the time I tend to use a bow maker, and I'm not with this because I have found this particular ribbon to be a little bit squirrely, and I tie a better bow with it when I can feel it versus putting it through the plastic of the bow maker. So I hope that made sense, what I was trying to say. And get in here and tighten that knot. There we go. And shorten up one set of loops just a little bit, maybe both sets of loops. Going to grab my mini glue dots. Just put one behind that knot and put that right there. Then I'm going to see if I can grab all 4 of those ties. Excuse me. Now I'm going to come in with my red rhinestone basic jewels. And grab a sip here. I'm going to use my take your pick tool to pick up my jewels. And I'm going to strategically locate them. Let's see. Those 2 were easy. Now I have to figure out my third one. I could put a third one here, or here, but that's almost too much of a straight line for me. I'm tempted to go right there, but I kind of like the contrast of this one, so I'm going to do that. There we go. So I'm in a triangle. So now to decorate the inside of this card, I have a piece of that designer series paper right here. And here is my card liner or message layer for the inside. And I'm going to pick one of these and I'm going to fussy cut it. So I really like it when there's a bit of a string coming off of it. Now I could pick any one of these and draw my own string, which I'm tempted to do. But I happen to like this one because it is that granny apple green. So I think I'm going to do that. So and because this print has a white background, you're not even going to see it when it gets adhered down to the liner. I have not decided, I mean, I suspect I know which stamp set I'm going to use for our personal Christmas cards, but I haven't made a final decision. I think I'm going to use the Lights Aglow bundle. There we go. So now I can just place some adhesive on the back of that. See how well I can pick that up and not get too sticky. I'm going to hang it from this upper corner. Let's see how straight I got it. Oh, I got it pretty straight. And then I slid it around and created all kinds of adhesive. So I'm going to have to let that dry for a second so that I can remove it with my rubber eraser. So I've been mentioning to everybody that I will not be here the last week of, or I won't be online the last week of July. I am finally going to have my back procedure done. So I will finally start to resume my life. And then I will be present and showing you all kinds of wonderful things starting the beginning of August. As I have so much more to share with you. I'm so excited over this catalog. It really speaks to my heart. And I know it'll speak to yours too. Okay, now I can put my adhesive on the back. You know, I'm going to check that and make sure I've actually already cut that down to the right size, because it looks a little big. Nope, it's 4 by 5 1/4. It's fine. And here we go. Give that a nice little press. And my friends, we have just made card number 2. Do you like? I hope. So let me clean a couple of things out of the way here, and as I have done in the previous 3 days, I'm going to share with you some samples or information regarding some other items. So this is that Ringed with Love designer series paper that I told you can get for free with a $50 purchase in the Sale A Bration flyer. There's something in here I want to show you. Now, I did not receive my Ringed with Nature bundle. Well, now it's been last week. Last week it was the day before. So I have not made a sample with this one. This is the only item that I had that I did not make a sample of ahead of time. But what I wanted to share with you is this particular paper, this page, this design that's in this bundle, or in this designer series paper pack. This die cut, let's see if I can figure this out. I had it, there we go. This die cuts those rings. So you can cut, say, 5 rings all at the same time. The other thing that you can do is, because this is a hybrid folder, uh-oh, it's stuck shut. There it is. You can and I have not done this yet, but I know that you can emboss these with some depth in each of these rings and cut it out at the same time. So just wanted to make sure that you were aware that this paper coordinates with the Ringed with Nature set that is on page. I should have had that marked ahead of time, sorry. I can tell you quickly though. Ringed with Nature is on page 62. Oh, that's not 62. There it is. So see, they've used some cardstock here to create the double layer effect on the rings, the wood rings. Here you've stamped a wood ring. Oh, I know. And then the Sale A Bration flyer shows some of those rings and some of those other elements layered on it. So there's endless amount of possibilities there. So I wanted to share that with you. Sorry, this is the only one I don't have a sample of. But I expect to next week, or not next week, the week after. Okay, so let me get all this out of the way. So for a purchase of $100, you get this package of designer series paper, and I've got this all flipped around, and coordinating stamp set. You get that for a $100 purchase. This paper is actually quite lovely, and again, I'm going to recommend that you go on to stampinup.com and look at the thumbnails, or not the, you can blow up a thumbnail so that you can see it full screen, so that you can see what all is in here. And I know that people have already been posting things on Pinterest using Wonderful World. I do want to show you what I did. I took this paper and I took my postage stamp punch and created this card. And there are those go-to greetings again. These are basic jewels, or basic pearls. Just a flat white, basic white card base, and this green paper is also from this assortment. And that's what that is. The only thing I stamped was the sentiment, and then on the inside I just used 2 pieces of that paper. So super easy, super pretty. This one has gotten a ton of attention on my Facebook page. Then I want to share with you the Splendid Thoughts bundle. You've already seen me show you some of these samples in the last couple of weeks, because this was a set that I got early. But here are the stamps. As you can see, it's red rubber. And then there are these beautiful detail dies. And I'm going to show you, I've got several samples that I've made. I'm going to do a quickie flip of the designer series paper. They are foil on one side and not foil on the other side. some of these, I literally, that's all I've got left of that particular page. So this is fresh freesia. Let's see. Let me tell you, sometimes it's hard to tell what colors are when it's in foil. Calypso coral, copper, fresh freesia, petal pink, pool party, Sahara sand, and soft seafoam. So just as I mentioned before, please, please, please go on to stampinup.com and look these up. This is in the mini catalog. Let me flip this over so you can see the other side. So these are more neutrals, but they blend beautifully with those foils. And I can show you what I mean by that because I've got several samples here to show you. So these cards here were part of a demonstrator crafting day that we had, and we got to use this suite of products. So here you can see I've used the decal edge dies from the annual catalog. Here is some of that foil. Here is one of the sentiments. I forgot to show you the sentiments. This beautiful font. I love this mixed font that they've done. So there's 4 sentiments, 2 different greeneries, 2 different colors, and fills, I guess you call it, and then a bumblebee, which I love. And I think I used it on everything except one card. Yeah, so that's that. So this one, they used the brick and mortar embossing folder and put this over the top. This one, we literally took fresh freesia and pool party blending blenders, Stampin' Blends, excuse me, and colored this four color effect, and then stamped the bumblebees on there and put our sentiment on. I mean, just super, super easy. This is one I designed where I took the matte side of that designer series paper and I mixed my pool party and my soft seafoam, which I happen to enjoy. And then this one was totally outside of my comfort zone. I'm not a big pink person, but this is the fresh freesia. And so this was the card that I demonstrated a couple weeks ago. A fun fold, fancy fold, I think you would call that. So that is Splendid Thoughts. Well, my friends, I'm going to show you the make and takes one more time. So with a purchase of $50 or more, use this host code and I will send you the make and takes and envelopes to create these cards. I am so grateful that you have spent this time with me. Thank you for the devotion of 4 days of for this catalog launch party. I appreciate you all immensely. I wish you all a wonderful summer. Oh, I know what I forgot to mention. I forgot to mention when I finished last week, I don't think we actually knew yet, but everything in the Sale A Bration flyer is while supplies last. And one item has already run out, and that is on page 8, the note cards and matching envelopes. Those have already run out. Everything else is still available, or it was a couple hours ago when I checked. There was something else I was just going to tell you. What was it? It was important too. Oh, if you don't have a demonstrator that you're already working with and you don't have this catalog and you don't have the Sale A Bration flyer and you're in the United States, I am held to staying within those boundaries. I would love to send this to you. I would love to be your demonstrator, and I would love to answer any questions that you might have. So please do not hesitate to reach out to me. My email address is stampwithteah@gmail.com. I will put that in the description. And thank you again for your time. Many blessings on you all. Big, big hugs.